the Hard Knocks and the Giants, they're doing their off-season, so we're hearing a lot of things about Saquon Barkley and the Brian Burns move and everything like that. But Jeremy Fowler spoke recently on SportsCenter on the expectations that he's hearing of Saquon Barkley's impact with his time on the Eagles coming up this season, and this is what he had to say on Saquon Barkley's potential impact. The feeling around the league, talking to several teams, is that Saquon Barkley will make a major impact, maybe even like a Christian McCaffrey to 49ers type impact, because he's never had this sort of supporting cast, this kind of offensive line. He's going to make Jalen Hurts' job a lot easier. That is a very bold claim to say, that Saquon Barkley is going to be around the level, impact-wise, of Christian McCaffrey. He had, 27 straight games with a touchdown, something like that.
It's setting the bar very high.
It is setting the bar very high. But I want to know, what do you think Barkley's impact will be year one on the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think it will be a strong impact, a big impact, but I'm not sure it will be the impact that McCaffrey had when he moved over to the 49ers. I mean, he had a huge impact. You look at McCaffrey's 2023 stats, 272 carries, tied for second. 1,459 yards, he was number one. 14 TDs, he was number four. 5 yards per carry, that was down the list a little bit, 81st. 67 catches for 564 yards, almost 8.5 yards per catch, and 7 TDs. Those are very good stats. Those are excellent stats. He was considered a MVP candidate right up until the end of the year. And it's only because it generally give it to a quarterback that I think he didn't get it. So that's a very high bar to set. But you look at Saquon Barkley, he's never had, as Jeremy Fowler said, he never really had a supporting cast as strong as the Eagles had. They have a much better O-line than the Giants had, a sieve for an O-line. So he's going to make Jalen Hurts' job easier, and I think Jalen Hurts is going to make Saquon Barkley's job easier, because Jalen Hurts is a very mobile quarterback. He can run the ball, and he has some success doing that. So you look at Barkley's stats with the Giants, they're actually excellent when you consider how poor the Giants' offensive line was. He played 14 out of the 17 games, had 962 yards, 6 TDs, 247 carries, 3.9 yards per carry, 41 catches for 280 yards, 6.8 yards per catch, and 4 TDs. So those stats are really strong. I think they'll be even stronger for the Eagles. When you look at the Eagles' rushing stats last year, they really had 3 guys that did the bulk of the running: Swift, Hurts, and Gainwell. Swift had he was the primary back. 1,049 yards, 229 carries, 5 TDs, 4.6 yards per carry, 39 catches, 214 yards, 5.5 yards per catch, and 1 TD. So even though he was playing on a much stronger team than the Giants, Swift's stats weren't really as good as Barkley's, when you figure Barkley didn't play three of the games, and he had almost 1,000 yards. So I see that Barkley is a significant upgrade over Swift, who wound up with the Bears, and I think Barkley's going to benefit from Hurts being able to run, and Hurts is going to benefit from having a stronger running back in the backfield. So I look for Barkley to have a very strong season. I expect him to annihilate the Giants when he plays them 2 times, and I think he'll run roughshod over the NFC East.
Well, it's kind of crazy, right? We always think of Christian McCaffrey as this far and away better running back than basically any other running back, because of the fact he has that nice receiver back type to him. He averages over 600 yards, I believe. I have the number right in front of me. He averages 617 receiving yards a year and 4.1 touchdowns in his career. Receiving touchdowns, that is. But I want to talk about running, because, yes, while a massive part of Christian McCaffrey's game is receiving, through and through, he's a running back. And what's kind of crazy is if you look you don't have to look that far at the numbers. Between when McCaffrey was with the Panthers, who had a bad offensive line, especially bad run-blocking offensive line. They averaged the 23rd best run-blocking offensive line. And Saquon Barkley's time with the New York Giants, who averaged the 22nd run-blocking offensive line. But let's take a look at the numbers because they're a little bit shocking. They're very similar. In fact, Saquon Barkley was a little bit of a better runner than Christian McCaffrey was on the Panthers. Now, let's put this a little bit into context, like I mentioned earlier. These are not also including receiving stats. They're including only running stats. So they're a little bit skewed. But strictly as a runner, Saquon Barkley was better. Now look at Christian McCaffrey from Panthers to 49ers. It is crazy. It's about 450 yard difference from going from the Panthers rushing yard difference per season, going from the Panthers to the 49ers, but that's expected because of the fact that since McCaffrey got there, the 49ers have averaged the 6th best run blocking offensive line. Saquon Barkley is currently going to go to the past 3 years. The Philadelphia Eagles have averaged the 4th best run blocking offensive line. So can we see Saquon Barkley emulate the same performance he can on the Giants? He should be able to. Barring any cataclysmic injury, he should be able to replicate what he did with the Giants because the Giants' offensive line was ranked 22nd on average, with this last season being ranked 30th in run blocking. And he still got, 900 yards, give or take? 962 yards
almost
and
1,000.
6 touchdowns.
He didn't play 3 of the games.
Right. So I think that as long as Saquon Barkley allows the scheme to work, if he just plays into the way the Philadelphia Eagles have played, being a top run-blocking offensive line and playing into that, we saw DeAndre Swift when he was with the Eagles, oh my God, game 1, coming right out of the gate with explosion. We saw it consistently. And I think really Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles, I don't know if it will be like Christian McCaffrey exactly because Saquon does not have the receiving threat that Christian McCaffrey does. Like I say, Christian McCaffrey averages a little over 600 receiving yards a season, with 4 receiving touchdowns. So in totality, per season, Christian McCaffrey averages 1,400 yards of scrimmage and 11 touchdowns a season.
Plus, he was the Offensive Player of the Year in 2023. He was the focal point of the 49ers offense, and he went to the Super Bowl. So that's a pretty high bar.
And I think if we're being 100% honest, and guess what? Those MVP bettors, or I guess not bettors, but the people who voted for the MVP, they gave Christian McCaffrey more first and second place votes than they did Brock Purdy, I'm pretty sure. I know it was at least more than first place votes than Brock Purdy, which shows that even the voters knew who was more valuable on the 49ers than a lot of the fans did because people love Brock Purdy, because they thought that just because he's the quarterback that he needs to be the focal point and the MVP and get all the credit. And I think, honestly, Christian McCaffrey had a very good shot at winning Super Bowl MVP if the 49ers won the Super Bowl because he had nearly 50% of the offensive production in that game alone. So I don't know if Barkley has that in him. But I think the Giants, and we're going to actually talk about this next week when the next Hard Knocks drops, because I'm hoping they're going to talk about the Saquon trade, or the Saquon, getting rid of Saquon. But Joe Schoen could not give Saquon the money because the concept of paying having a $40 million a year quarterback, handing it off to a $12 million a year quarterback, which I think we're gonna see this season just how big of an impact that does have. Because I don't think the Giants have anywhere close. They're not going to have anywhere close to the type of production without Saquon that they had with him. And we're going to see that very, very clearly because I did a little bit of research. And would you believe that if Daniel Jones throws it 25 times or more, they're 17, 33, and 1. That is not good.
No.
If Saquon Barkley rushes for 50 or more yards, they're 22, 27, and 1, I believe, or 22, 28, and 1.
Much better.
Much better. And guess what? When Daniel Jones throws it 24 times or less, they have a winning record. They're 6-5. It's the same thing with Dak Prescott. The less you throw it, the better you are. Now, the Giants are going to have to rely a lot more on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well, Devin Singletary, we'll see. He's had some good seasons.
He has had some good seasons. He had a good season last year with the Texans. I don't think behind that offensive line, who, once again, brand new O-line coach, a bunch of new pieces on the offensive line, we'll have to wait and see what they look like.
I think we'll really find out
But
how
history
good
says so.
Saquon Barkley is. He's going to be playing with some quality, the best team, the best pieces on offense that he's ever played with. It's not only the offensive line being good. You have a very top 5 maybe quarterback in Jalen Hurts. You have 2 excellent wide receivers. A.J. Brown, one of the top receivers in the league. Smith, also a very, very good receiver. So, I think with those pieces out there and that good offensive line, you're right. If he plays into the scheme, he should have a great season. But will it be as good as Christian McCaffrey? I'm not so sure.
I'm going no, but it should be relatively close, going from 22nd run blocking offensive line to the 4th best. It should be close. But then again, I don't think Saquon's about to average 600 receiving yards a season and 4 receiving touchdowns a season. I don't see Saquon doing that. Do I see him getting 1,100, 1,200 yards and 6 to 8 touchdowns this upcoming season if he's healthy? Absolutely. Why not? It takes a load off Jalen Hurts, who, once again, did he play with an injury last year? It looked like it. Nobody would say nothing.
Hurts, yeah.
It looked like he was hurt.
He had a knee issue.
I would assume that. And also, I think, how would the loss of Jason Kelce, him to retirement, how's that going to affect inside runs?
Yeah, that might bother him too.
I think it might have a little bit of an issue.
And can Saquon Barkley stay healthy? He's had some injuries in his career here too.
But we have to realize, also, we realize in 2 seasons, Christian McCaffrey played 10 games in 2 seasons because he kept getting hurt with the Carolina Panthers. Saquon Barkley, same thing. Bad offensive line, ends up getting hurt. Then McCaffrey goes to the 49ers, who have a great run-blocking offensive line and generally a great offensive line anyway, and all of a sudden we see the gigantic separation and why now McCaffrey's getting paid a lot of money per year. I think he's making $19 million or something like that over 2 years. Some crazy number like that.
He's worth it.
Absolutely,
Hey, he can throw it too. He's thrown a touchdown pass.
He throws it, he catches it, and he runs with it.
Yeah,
he is the most versatile running back we've seen.
And he's a tough guy, man, and he doesn't give up on any play. He's fighting every second, for every yard. He makes plays that look like they're done. He finds a way to make something out of them. So he's a special player for sure.
Well, Kyle Shanahan says, we got to learn how to take you out. You got to come out sometimes because you're aging. You already have an injury history. You want to barrel through. It's kind of like Josh Allen. Josh Allen wants to barrel through everybody.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, same thing. So as long as McCaffrey stays healthy, the 49ers are going to keep excelling. And I think if Saquon Barkley has the season that I expect, so 1,100 plus yards, 6 to 8 rushing touchdowns, I think the Eagles are going to be a 12-13 win team. I think they're going to be the number 1 team in the NFC, be a 12-13 win team and look great. Because not only do you not have to worry about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, now you have to worry about Saquon Barkley in the backfield and Jalen Hurts running it using an RPO or just a design quarterback run. You have threats all over the place now. So it's going to be very difficult to contain that type of Eagles offense. Will we see the explosiveness of a couple years ago when they were a top team and made it to the Super Bowl? I think that'll rely on Jalen Hurts' health entirely, but we'll have to wait and see. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.